Hear me clearly when I say this. There are people who come in your life sometimes to be there for a season. They weren't meant to be there always. Sometimes we find ourselves hooked up with people that we think are there for a lifetime, but they were only supposed to be there for a season. There are people who come in your life like boosters for a rocket. If you ever watch a rocket go into space, the boosters fall off when it reaches a certain altitude. Some people are not equipped to handle the altitudes that you're going to. So don't be afraid when they fall off. They're not bad people. They just couldn't go where you're going.
If you want to change your life, you need to change your crowd.
I'm convinced, outside of a personal relationship with Jesus, the most important decision you make is your friends, who you spend time with.
Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. God's plan for you is to have a bright, purpose-filled, prosperous future. My question today is, are the environments in your life pushing you into that direction, into that plan that God has for your life? If your relationships aren't making you better, if they're not inspiring you and causing you to grow, you need to probably make some needed changes. You may need to pull some weeds. Stop hanging out all the time with people who bring out the worst in you, causing you to compromise. What I'm trying to tell you today is your purpose is too great to waste it with people or in environments that are not adding to your life. Maybe it's time to check your circle. If a friend is consistently pulling you down, causing you to compromise, have the courage in love to create some distance and begin stepping away from it. What you're not willing to walk away from in this season is where you'll stop growing. God wants us always to be growing, and there are always things that we're going to need to let go of so we can get ready for the new. You see, God's got new things in your life that He wants to usher in.
Power for the good, for the right things is to consciously develop and maintain your social networks. And that also means, well, let's talk about friendships for a minute. Here's how you know if someone's your friend. A, you can tell them bad news and they'll listen. They won't tell you why, you're stupid and why that bad thing happened to you and how something worse happened to them once and, derail the whole conversation. You can actually tell them bad news and they'll listen. So that's a good thing. And then this is a weirder thing. You can tell them good news and they'll help you celebrate. And that's a really good way of deciding who you should have around you. Because if you have someone around you, something good happens to you and you're kind of afraid to even admit it because, God, something good happened to you. It's like, you let that be known and it'll certainly be taken away. So, you come out and you sort of tell someone half-heartedly that something good happened to you and they give you a whack and then talk about, the great thing that happened to them 3 years ago. Or worse, the great thing that happened to someone that they knew 3 years ago. It's like, go away from that person. They're not helpful to you, and they're not helpful to themselves either. And so you want to surround yourself, you got to think about this. You got to surround yourself with people who want the best for the best part of you. You can hang around with weasels and losers that are trying to pull you down to justify the fact that they're spiraling downhill as well. And the upside of that is you don't have to have any responsibility and you can all whine about how wretched life is, so that's pretty attractive. But I would say it's also a bad medium to long-term plan. And so it's acceptable and desirable to try to surround yourself with people who are facilitating your development.
You go back to default. So you're going back to default over and over again. And when you get around certain people, you change. And you want to hang around them because as long as you're around them, you feel peace, or you feel nice, or you feel kind, or you feel spiritual, or you feel holy. That's not the problem. The problem is when you go back to yourself, you're stuck in the same pattern that you were before, and you can't figure out how to break it. You've cried about it, but you keep going back. You've shouted about it, but you keep going back. You've even prayed about it, but you keep going back. And you can't figure out how somebody who cried for it and shouted for it and sang about it and started going to church on Sunday, and why does this still keep happening to me? I don't know whose prayer I'm breaking into, but I'm breaking into somebody's prayer saying, Lord, why do I keep going through the same things over and over again? I go to church now, I tithe now, I shout now, I leap now, and the Lord sent me here to tell you it's no problem with your sentence. The problem is with your default. Until you change your default, you will always go back to being who you were before because you have never changed.
Think of it like this. For every peace stealer you allow in your life, you are 20% more likely to live stressed, on edge, to have a crisis. I'm asking you to find happy friends. I'm not saying you have to cut people off, never speak to them again. I am saying you should put up some boundaries. You don't have to make a big announcement. Like I did, just little by little, spend less and less time with that person. If you don't get the wrong people out of your life, you'll never meet the right ones. Especially in your inner circle, the people who are closest to you need to be stable, consistent, happy, godly, responsible people that move you toward your destiny. Like iron sharpens iron, you make each other better. And this is the reason many people are stuck. Who do you have in your life? What are you giving your time and energy to? Putting out fires? Trying to keep someone happy? Feeling guilty because you can't meet their demands? That's going to wear you out.
Sometimes you just outgrow people. Sometimes you outgrow yourself. Sometimes you outgrow your environment. Sometimes you outgrow who you wanted to be. And sometimes you outgrow who you became.
It might have all been positive. You may have come a long way, but sometimes you have to move on. Sometimes you just outgrow people. You don't need to hate them. You don't need to cut them off, but you do need to distance yourself from them if you want to live your best life. Maybe that is what is best for them too. That person may have had only good intentions for you. They may have given you everything they could, but sometimes you have to move on. Not in a negative way, in a positive way, for your growth and for theirs. You should surround yourself with people who are good for your mental health. People who give you energy, not drain it from you. People who light you up, not those who dim your light. People who make you smile when you hear their name or see their call coming in. Those friends who could go days, weeks, months without seeing you, but when they do, the bond is still strong because you care for each other.
Chickens that are trying to flop up there and get where you are, but God will take you to a place where you can only hook up with other eagles, and eagles are all, do you hear what I'm saying to you? So don't be frustrated when you see the chickens flapping up and falling down. Because at this stage in your life, it's time for you to be synergistic with other eagles. Eagles love on another level. Eagles live on another level. Eagles think on another level. Eagles function on another level. Eagles dream on another level. Eagles build on another level. Glory to God. If you had somebody reject you, leave you, walk out the door, stop crying about it. It was just a chicken. What you need is another eagle with wings and dreams and visions and concepts and ideas, who's not jealous of you, who's not intimidated by you, who's not fighting you. You know that it's an eagle when they're not jealous of you. You know it's another eagle when they can think thoughts like you think. You know it's another eagle when they can pray for you and help you to get to the next level. It's only the chickens that are down on the ground talking about everybody. If you think an eagle is something by himself, let him get with another eagle. Oh, wonder how much further you would be if you would focus on being synergistic with other eagles rather than expending your energy trying to change chickens. Nothing against chickens. I had one yesterday. I eat them, baby, but I don't fly with them. Are there any eagles in the house? I said, are there any eagles in this house? Are there any eagles in this house?
The most important thing I have come to know in doing the right thing and making the right choices is understanding all of you leaving here have the potential for enormous success. There's a price that comes with that. People don't always like you, and they're not always happy for you. And if you surround yourself with people who are not accustomed to your success, they become fearful. They become scared because you are reflecting back something to them that they don't recognize. Now, they're not going to say, you know, I'm very fearful, because you're reflecting back to me something I don't recognize. They're going to say, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, who she thinks she is. Who she thinks she is. That only happens when you are around people who do not mean and want and aspire to the best for you. People who want the best for you want you to be your best. So my greatest advice to you is to surround yourself with people who are going to fill your cup until your cup runneth over. So when people say you're so full of yourself, you can say, yeah, I'm so full, my cup runneth over. And to know that once your cup runneth over, you cannot spend your life with your gallon-size offerings, offering them to pint-sized people. You have got to surround yourself with gallon-sized people who can hang in the same company with you, so that you're not offering your gallons to those little pints out there who can't hold it anyway. And what I know for sure is that the biggest choices begin and end with you, your internal big questions. Who do I want to be in the world? My relationship to source energy, to all that is God. I'm not talking about what you believe in God. I'm talking about your experience of that which is all life, which is divine and universal. I'm talking about the big deal. Being connected and aligned with that. When you are tuned in and charged into that, whenever you feel empty, you go inside yourself and you connect to the source, and you know that all things are possible.